Very nice job, guys. One question I have is, you're raising the beans organically, correct? What happens if you have a disease issue or something happens and wipes out your crop? How are you going to meet the expectations here that you've set forward for the first 3 years?
There's a couple answers to your question. First off, we're only needing 400 acres in the first year and 1,200 acres in the third year. We really want to make sure we spread out some of those acres throughout a wide area so that weather might not be such a large factor in the production, in the crop failure threat. The other thing is that our contract with BeanLink is strictly a service contract in which we pay for them to provide the produce to us. And so we kind of defer some of that risk throughout that supply chain in that sense.
Do you have a backup provider of beans? I mean, because your risk is still there if you've got commitments to a retail outlet and they can't provide the beans, you don't have a product.
It's a great question. In 2007, Minnesota alone raised 1,200 acres of dry edible beans, and so if we had to, we'd have to get rid of the organic labeling, which might hurt our secondary targets of the health-conscious young adults. But if we still think that sales are going to be acceptable to that higher in cost, we can buy some of those beans as well as go into some of those other local markets of North Dakota and South Dakota in the regions.
Okay.
Oops, not on yet. There we go. I have a sister-in-law who has celiac, and it's really difficult for her simply from the standpoint that everybody else is eating wonderful things like breads and pizza, and she loves pizza, but she breaks out with it. So I guess my question here is, since she and I know a lot of other folks are really looking for the convenience of prepared foods, why would we not want to spend more of our time in producing flours than working with bakers to produce pizzas and that type of thing that would go that direction instead of trying to sell direct?
We have found that in the Minneapolis area, there's a lot of competition throughout the restaurant availability. And for our target market, we felt that we would give them an opportunity to purchase these products so they could make food at home, because we found that is where our product, or where the availability is truly lacking. And with that, we also found that not only is the consumer buying products for themselves or for their children, but that turns into making food for the entire family. And so we found this as an excellent opportunity to not only cater to the children of the shepherd mothers or the health-conscious young adults, but cater to entertaining people with giving availability to their entire family to eat these foods.
Okay, I'm sorry, just a quick follow-up to that then. So you did some original research with folks who have celiac?
We found that we would have the most market penetration through our fall survey with product offering in a grocery aisle, and that's where we found consumers were truly lacking the availability to make foods at home. It was just difficult to find products to put in cookies or brownies or pizza, and so that is why we developed our 4 product lines.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to ask a question about your consumer surveys that you did in the fall. How many, it's a 2-part question. How many consumers did you survey, and then how many markets did you conduct your surveys in?
Okay, I can take that one again. We conducted our survey in 2 specialty retail stores. One was Mississippi Market and the other was Whole Foods. And the 2 that we did are located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And as you will note, our first expansion is into the Minneapolis market, so we thought that would be the best place to find our consumer reach. And we did 50% of our shepherd mothers, and we did 50% of our health-conscious young adults. Because in the fall of 2009, we were doing our preliminary research before our product development. And so we wanted to see, are these 2 markets going to buy our product? Are they willing to pay at our price point? What is their price point? Where do they want to find their products? And which products would they like to see in the marketplace?
I have a follow-up question to that then. And you talked about 50-50 split between your 2 segments. How was the survey conducted that you were able to have that break?
We did an in-store survey, and so each of us went to each of the retail locations, and what we did is we did a preface question asking them, what is your eating lifestyle? Do you consider yourself a health-conscious young adult who purchases these products, or do you consider yourself, do you consider yourself a parent who shops for children? Or do you have celiac disease? We did some preface questions before actually administering our survey.
One of the slides you showed were units sold, and you had a set number through there, but we've got 3 or 4 different product lines of flour and pasta. What are you representing as units sold, as trying to keep a cap on our financial position?
The units sold are, all of our calculations aside from the flour are in the pound units, so units sold of pounds of product, aside from flour, which is in hundredweights. However, it was adjusted so that everything is in, so in answer to your question, everything is adjusted into pounds of unit sale.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the concept of linking the producers with the consumers. You talked about local, buying food locally and how people are interested in that, and you talked about putting a personality on the producers. How do we know that that'll be successful? What examples have you seen where that was a successful approach?
In today's society, social media is everywhere. I know there's people around that have Facebook when they're 60 years old, so I think social media is a huge network for us to tap into where we can get personal stories from producers. And coming from the food industry side and working with the food regulatory side, people want to know, our consumers want to know where their food is coming from. As a producer standpoint, one of our biggest fears in the industry is consumer confidence, because they're the ones that are supplying our income. And so therefore, putting a face to our producers and our consumers not only link that connection of passion between the two, but also put a reliable face for their product that are providing their products for them so that they can be trusted every time they take that bite of their food.
Okay, but what examples do we have where it's worked before?
And just to add on to what Christy said, in the Twin Cities, if you enter into a Cub Foods, they have a promotion right when you walk in the vegetable aisle that says grown locally, food produced locally, buy and support your local farmer. And that's one of the things that we did notice when, going into the Hy-Vees, the Cub Foods, the Targets, to see if consumers, would be interested in, or to see if the Target would be interested in hosting our product there. That was one thing that we did notice, that it is kind of the trend in this day and age is to buy local and support the local farmer.
With a niche as close as you have with the 2 audiences that you're going against, I'm going to follow up with your answer. I think buying local and everything is a great objective, and yes, more people are moving towards that, and the marketing is moving towards that. But how quick do you think these conventional retailers will be to pick up your product when you're taking a niche, but then you're also taking a segment of a niche and segment of a niche, and what's the reception been?
It's a great question. First off, we really think that we can penetrate some of the specialty stores regionally because they see the importance of our project just by looking at the products on their shelves. And so we'll be able to penetrate them, hopefully kind of make a name for ourselves. The other thing is when trying to go into a Target, Cub Foods, or Hy-Vee, first realize that Cub Foods and Target based right there out of Minneapolis, and so being a local business, I think that's really going to help us. Hopefully, have some contacts in there. The other thing is there's other possibilities. Target, for instance, we can go underneath their farm name, their brand, which is Archer Farms, just to maybe kind of prove some of our sales histories and prove that our product's going to give them a good market. The other opportunity would be to kind of have a companion product, whether it's organic chip or maybe an organic milk that we can hopefully pair our product with, get some sales histories, results from there, and then hopefully prove to a Target or Cub Foods that we are a viable business that their consumers are looking for.
I've got a follow-up question to that one. You had mentioned go into specialty stores and talk about that, but you clearly point out that your first year is 5 Super Targets, and your Shepherd Mothers is buying the product in a traditional grocery setting. So while the specialty stores are great, why are you not focusing on what that first target is?
As we're presenting to investors, we are coming to this investment group with the understanding that we have proven our sales in the specialty market, and we find it that we will only be profitable if we can prove to a group of investors that we do have a product, it will sell, and so our potential goal is to go into a Target store, either under the Archer Farms brand or under our own brand if our sales history is strong enough.
Okay.
Thank you.